Disclaimer, I understand that obviously there's going to be stuff related to the Infinity Castle that most of y'all were probably going to want to talk about. But for this video, I want it to be strictly focused on Entertainment District since that's the point of the review. Anyways, spoilers for Demon Slayer Season 2, Entertainment District arc, and anything before that. When it comes down to Demon Slayer, especially the Entertainment District arc, it's pushing on one's legacy. We have the aftermath of like the whole Rengoku stuff, Kyojuro Rengoku's legacy being through Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, who are essentially going to live up to what Rengoku saw in them. Tengen's whole legacy in regards to what he wants to be, since he left his family to be, well, better, and took his wives to prioritize them, while also still having trouble prioritizing himself, as we see through flashbacks and through present time. We have the legacy between Daki and Gyutaro being siblings that have this rage and hatred for literally as long as they lived because of how the world mistreated them, so wanting to pay back everything. And yeah, Nezuko being essentially the last tie of Tanjiro's family, and how much he has to work hard to keep her from losing her path, because she almost did lost it. And I mean, she is also the key on why things went how well things went. But let's start off with Tanjiro himself. Something to note is that Tanjiro does obviously pay Rengoku's final words in respect. He goes to the Rengoku family and speaks to them, gives the message he wants to give them, despite the fact that the father was being very harsh towards him, and being the first time we learn about sun breathing. And we see Tanjiro like pushing himself to genuinely become stronger for the sake of keeping Rengoku's thing, the whole motto that he gave his life to protect them, like that, keep that alive. And during this entire arc, like, he's genuinely just doing Tanjiro things. He is like a genuinely good person, despite how he sucks at lying, unfortunately. But even then, whenever he faces Daki, like, I do like the little callbacks on like 3 different important factors. One, his sword is instantly chipped, which we know how Haguneska is gonna react. But, because obviously Haguneska chased the hell out of him in the first episode, which was funny as hell. But something to make a note of is, yes, this is because water breathing is not something he's suited for, meaning that he's never going to be able to master water breathing, which is unfortunate because it was one of the few forms that really did help him, which leads to the second, the Hinokami Kagura. That is essentially, because he was recognized as a sun breather, it means that this is tied into sun breathing, the origin of all breathing styles. And unfortunately, Tanjiro's body is not capable of handling it unless he's like has a fever and stuff, which keeps him going, which means that Tanjiro is in a little bit of a pickle. He can't use water breathing to its maximum potential because he's not really designed to be able to handle that. And although Hinokami Kagura is able to be more effective, his body's still not capable of it. And then the third factor, the father of Kyojuro literally assumed that because Tanjiro was a sun breather that he was born to be one of those greatness because of the scar. And Tanjiro reveals like, no, he wasn't born with this scar. He got it from protecting his little brother. And his father was born with the scar. So this brings an interesting factor into the table about Tanjiro is not the chosen one kind of thing. It's not like other characters, how Uzui basically brings up later on, which we'll get to, how he brought on like Gyome being the strongest, or Muichiro being like a Hashira in 2 months and becoming a Demon Slayer member. So like that's crazy potential. But Tanjiro, no, he is not that. He is not special, and he acknowledges that. But he doesn't let that get in his head either, that, oh, I'm not special, so that means I can't reach the top. No, he is the definition of a hard-working person who is a good kind of person as well, and is going to do everything he can to protect those that he cares about and stop evil at its tracks, which makes Tanjiro such an amazing person. not only that, but he pushes his potential so much through this fight. Like, at the beginning of this whole arc, we can say that he is, at the very least, able to contend with lower moons. But by the end of it, he's able to survive against an upper moon, which is such a big feat, considering that he technically did survive against Akaza, but that was thanks to Rengoku. But this one, he was in the middle of that actual fight, and was the key factor in defeating Gyutaro, and actually outplayed him for a moment, which shows Tanjiro is pretty smart and quick on his feet. And yeah, he unlocked his Demon Slayer mark, which is important because this one thing, as well as beating Gyutaro and Daki, quite literally is the catalyst for what's Muzan's downfall. But yes, I love Tanjiro in this entire arc. He is just such a fun character to follow, and just watching him go through hard work to reach the top of where he needs to be, at least in this arc per se, and mixing water breathing with the Hinokami Kagura is pure genius. It just shows you Tanjiro is a quick thinker, and he's gonna do everything he can to make sure he can save as many people as he can. And yeah, I mean, hell, this is Tanjiro's biggest moment. He broke through the barrier of at least now finally being able to try to reach upper moon levels, which is the turning point of this arc. When it comes down to Zenitsu and Inosuke, obviously we see that they're definitely like getting stronger. They're getting smarter, considering that Inosuke was able to explain things to Tanjiro in such a way that really puts into perspective that yes, he's a hothead, but he is pretty smart. He understands things. He isn't too stupid. He isn't just bronze with no brains kind of thing. And I do like that he was able to analyze like the entire fight and how they don't have to necessarily beat both Daki and Gyutaro at the exact same time. They just need to cut their heads off. At some point, both of them have to have their heads, well, gone. And not to mention being able to survive a stab wound like that is insane. And obviously being the one that rescued like Zenitsu and two of the wives and was actually on to Daki from the beginning. And despite having his senses kind of hampered, he definitely showed that dude was kind of on the right track and onto something. And obviously showing that he definitely enjoys when Zenitsu actually isn't just crying around. Like he respects strength. And I mean, dude was able to come in clutch right at the end when Zenitsu wasn't able to pull the final cut that was needed. Even though for Zenitsu, like, yes, he has been, well, a crybaby a lot of season 1. Here, he definitely kind of started showing that he's stepping up, he's going on missions, and crying less about it, showing that he does take his training seriously, is a little bit overwhelmed by the location he's in. He isn't going like super crazy. Like, dude is just completely shy and just uncertain on how to take it. Obviously, you still have his crazy side where he berates Tengen for having 3 wives and all the funny shit that happens. But whenever he is like doing his thing, like reconnaissance and stuff, he is the first one to actually encounter Daki. And despite knowing that she's a demon and probably an upper rank, he still stands his ground to protect the girl, gets injured for it, and captured. And then when he's asleep, obviously the badass side comes out of him. He speaks a little more, and not only that, but dude is actually able to pull off one hell of a trick. Thunder breathing first form, thunderclap and flash, godlike speed. And that is an insanely busted ability in terms of just watching it completely overwhelm Daki, because she gets a bit too cocky for her own sake of just thinking that, oh, I know your speed, so you're not gonna get me, and just gets outspeed again, which is funny. But yes, I think these two have definitely improved. Tanjiro has the main thing of him being obviously the main character, but as two major characters, like, yes, they have definitely improved. Zenitsu's a little toned down with this crazy side. Inosuke is showing a little more intelligence, so you know what, it's a win. Tengen Uzui, the Sound Hashira. Honestly, considering that he comes right after we saw how badass and amazing Rengoku Kyojuro is, like, yeah, of course Uzui is gonna have a little bit of shoes to fill, because not only he has to show himself as a Hashira, but he also is one of the few that has to basically help Tanjiro and the others, because Rengoku was quite a motivator for those three, and he has to be a motivator in a different sense, since obviously everyone's different. And when we are first introduced to Tengen, yes, he is not exactly a good person per se. Like, he's trying to kidnap Aoi and one of the mansion girls, butterfly mansion girls. And yeah, Tanjiro and the others kind of basically stop him and volunteer themselves. He kind of has a little bit of self delusion by calling himself the god of festivals. And obviously, the whole Zenitsu getting mad that he has three wives, or how Inosuke is like, oh, they're probably dead, and just both of them getting pummeled. And all the shenanigans from the entertainment district of trying to first locate his wives. Like, yeah, they know a demon is around, but his wives are his priority, which goes into more of him. Like, he has like a very strong exterior, but he definitely has other things he has. He still kind of lacks a bit of self-worth, considering in some of the flashbacks he keeps saying like he's gonna go to hell and stuff, which does bother his wives. He clearly comes from a clan of shinobi that obviously they were offing themselves, and he didn't want it to be a part of that mission, so he abandoned his family, essentially left his brother, who was following in their father's footsteps, to essentially run the clan how it's been running, something he has disagreed. And he took his wives and tried to make a better life for them. He joined the Demon Slayer Corps, a different kind of cause that he can get behind. And yeah, honestly, he is the perfect counter to Gyutaro, because the thing about Gyutaro is that his poisons, anyone that gets hit by the poison, they're done for. And yet, Tengen Uzui is a shinobi, and he was trained to at least resist poisons. So yeah, perfect counter to that. And also, their abilities are pretty much on point. Yes, I can at least contend that Tengen is definitely at least barely closing in on Gyutaro levels. But by the end of the fight, like, you can see that the two are on equal terms, per se. The only problem just comes down to the poison has gone so far within Tengen. We could say that he's probably nerfed, as well as the fact that he's fighting with one hand, because the other one got sliced off, and yet that's still badass. Like, his musical score technique is one of, he has to essentially outlast you long enough for his little technique to work, so he can finally understand and see what he needs to do in order to counter you perfectly. And yeah, like, I do like how he survived this entire encounter, because this is the opposite of Rengoku. Rengoku, who was genuinely like beyond strong, took on Upper Moon 3 and lost. But Tengen, who took on Upper Moon 6 with help, was able to get the win. And that's the big importance, is that this wasn't just Tengen carrying everyone. Like, yeah, he was carrying to a degree, but when it really mattered most, he needed the others to help. Otherwise, they would have lost another Hashira and more Demon Slayers, and who knows how many more people to these two. And yeah, I mean, the fact that he got to retire and essentially be with his wives, it just shows like he's kind of pushed himself to start caring for himself, because he's been like actively trying to do something about like the guilt from his clan that we even see in the opening. You can tell like there's still guilt there, and now that he's kind of survived this ordeal and doesn't want to leave his wives, like, yeah, he retires despite Obanai being very mad about it. But he's put his trust on Tanjiro and the others, because he's called them his Segunko, and obviously that's not true, but considering the fact that they all survived together, at this point they might as well. They might as well be. But yeah, Tengen, like, it takes a bit before showing that he is a badass within his own right, and his abilities are unique to him. But dude is fighting with one hand like that, and with the type of weapon he's using, like, man, this is just pure badass. And his winning type attitude, this just makes Tengen quite a Hashira to honestly back behind. Nezuko. Now, here's the thing with Nezuko Kamado. She is probably the MVP of this entire season. And the only reason I say this is because she doesn't appear a lot, but when she does, she saves her brother from being killed. She gets one hell of a power up and pushes back Daki to such a degree that she gets PTSD. Yes, Nezuko starts losing herself because this new whole power up essentially kind of drives her mind a bit too crazy. And once the fighting is all said and done, because she only gets that one fight and then she's kind of done for the rest of the entire thing, she comes back, neutralizes Yutero's blood demon art, and is her flames don't actually hurt people, they just hurt demons. So she was able to use her flames on Tengen, which was funny watching the wives just freaking the fuck out. And yeah, all the poison he had like gathered around his body from Yutero is gone. And so did Inosuke whenever he got hit and stuff. But it just shows like if it wasn't for her, then Tanjiro would have died early. They would have probably not been able to win against them. And even if Tanjiro somehow survived this fight against Daki, Inosuke would have for sure have been killed, and Tanjiro because he also got poisoned. So yeah, honestly, Nezuko is the core reason that everyone managed to survive this time. Because without her, genuinely, they would have lost. Yeah, she doesn't appear in the big fight after her big, like, somewhat one sided fight against Daki. However, that's just to show that she gave them enough time to be able to handle themselves without her. Though, imagine if she was in the middle of that fight. Like, I can guarantee you, shit would have gone a lot differently. But yeah, Nezuko, despite not appearing as much, is the MVP of this entire fight. Daki and Gyutaro. Now, the thing with Daki first is how she is portrayed. She's portrayed as this conniving evil that's hiding in plain sight, that is essentially doing whatever the hell she wants, and is in control at times. Like, oh, if she's acting way too overkill, then she kind of corrects herself. But she acts in such a sadistic way. Like, obviously, you're not supposed to root for the villains. That's the whole point of, well, of an antagonist. And, and then after she gets bodied by Tengen like easily, and he's like, "You're not upper six, or you're not an upper moon," and her kind of getting really mad, and then starting to cry like a child. It kind of is cathartic because once Gyutaro does come into the picture, like her role gets significantly botched down to just an assistant of Gyutaro. Like whenever she was fighting Tanjiro, like you could tell this is a real threat. Tanjiro is being pushed to his limits, and then Nezuko obviously bodied her a bit, and then Tengen bodied her, and yeah, after that, like she is a problem for like Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, but that's only because they're not that strong. They're still relatively somewhat competent demon slayers. They're not like super strong demon slayers, like closing in on like Kanao or even the Hashira levels. Yet together they're able to put so much pressure on Daki. And as for Gyutaro, dude is a menace. Like his blood demon art is so insane. Because the second you get hit, well, you're done for. The only reason obviously this didn't work on Tengen is because, well, it's a special case. So yeah, outside of that, like dude is sadistic too. He enjoys screwing around, and even when they have the win right there, he is just screwing around. He is taunting Tanjiro, he's breaking his fingers, he's letting him do whatever the hell. He's even offering Tanjiro to turn him into a demon in order for Tanjiro and Nezuko to be demons together. Like he is just messing around and not really taking this seriously. Not until he almost got beheaded, and obviously Tanjiro had an intelligent idea on how to catch him off guard because obviously he's just screwing around. But by that point, he's so pissed off. Yeah, he's actively trying to kill Tanjiro, and yeah, there are moments where he gets really mad, like similar to Zenitsu. He hears that Tengen has three wives, and I love it. He's like, "Did I hear that correctly? You have three wives?" And then just starts fucking getting mad. But he's a lot of that, and then obviously, you know, his whole thing of just finally like getting even more mad that Tengen called his technique like a musical score. So he definitely is like an envious person. So yeah, and by after being defeated, both of them, like you get to see Daki or Ume and Yuto's like backstory. And yes, it's the classic Demon Slayer, Demon as said backstory. But the thing here is that, I mean, Kyutaro was unfortunate enough to live in the entertainment district where beauty is like everything. So if he's hated, he might as well be something that should be hated, which is an aggressive tax collector. And obviously, them killing Ume the way they did is obviously brutal. And I will only say this: obviously, samurai or yeah, the samurai there is important enough for them to, I guess, kill Ume, and having him try to kill Yutaro is obvious. But this woman right here in this flashback, nah, she was asking for it. Like she's taunting the hell out of the Yutaro while he's like on like barely hanging in there. And yeah, her getting killed, I mean, that's her own doing. And I mean, for Yutaro as a kid or teenager to kill a samurai the way he did, it's either one of two things. Either the samurai was just pathetically weak, or Gyutaro had like crazy ass potential as like a human. But yeah, the fact that we get like Doma of all characters to appear and give them like the whole becoming demons kind of goes into the theme of this particular arc. But overall, I mean, Gyutaro is a fun villain. Daki is too, and I mean, she's just she's just there after the fact. But it's still pretty fun having a duo demons working together. It reminds me of Susamaru and Yahaba whenever they're like teaming up. Like you rarely see demons actually teaming up. So having one of the upper moons have like a duo kind of thing, which is kind of annoying to take out, is still like a pretty fun way to make an antagonist like a lot difficult to take out. Let's be real, when it comes down to the battles of Demon Slayer, they're just beyond epic. Like the choreography is obviously just pure amazingness. And obviously Tanjiro wiping out this literal no-name demon is pretty cool. Having Tanjiro face Daki is within itself just amazing. And even though like he was being pushed to like his limits and showing like a limit beyond his limit only to nearly die from that. And then obviously Nezuko's fight, quote unquote. Like she was pushed a bit, but then she completely dominated the hell out of Daki and just beat the crap out of her. Tengen versus Daki is not even a fight, it's just completely flexing on her. And then whenever Gyutaro comes in is when the real fight starts. And I mean, look, the demons were on the advantage side, even though like you could say Gyutaro and Tengen were like on equal terms, with just Gyutaro just being above Tengen until the musical score technique, where it definitely shows that although Tengen is still on the back foot, dude is actually like matching with Gyutaro. Even though Tanjiro has made a note, like yes, they're on equal footing, but Tengen is gonna eventually run out of like stamina and run out of like everything as well as the poison. So yeah, it's a time limit before he dies. And then obviously Tanjiro doing his best to help. Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu working together against Daki is obviously phenomenally cool. Zenitsu's like godlike speed blitzing Daki is obviously just pure amazingness. Like all of this is just me glazing the hell out of this fight, because Entertainment District put a fight that most people would say in the manga isn't, it's like still pretty good, but isn't like this epic, into making it an epic fight, which is why everyone is like saying, if this the lowest of the upper moons gets one of the best animated fights, imagine Upper Moon 1's fight. Like that's what essentially the glazing is. It showed that the animators are essentially doing money breathing, first form, infinite budget. Like legit. But yeah, fighting obviously 100 out of 10. Like there's no joke. There's nothing that will convince me that it's not like 100 out of 10 when it comes down to just the pure fighting of this season. Okay, when it comes down to the story of this season, it's I guess simplistic. It's similar to like almost any other arc. They go to this location, they go to solve whatever demons causing trouble, but here it definitely is a little more unique. Like, yeah, they got to build up their reconnaissance, like they're blending in, or well, attempting to in Zenitsu and Tanjiro's case. And they're basically trying to look for, first they're looking for Tengen's wives, which eventually does lead into the shenanigans of dealing with Daki and her stuff. And then it leads into the big craziness when it comes down to the whole Daki Gyutaro situation that they run themselves into. Now, yes, you could say I simplified the story way too much, but it's like, it is simple. The biggest thing about this entire thing is mainly the battle against an upper moon, because we did see it in Mugen Train that, yes, they basically took on the last of the lower moons, and then an upper moon came in and just completely started rocking shit up. But here, we get to see that it's more on the progression, on the fighting in regards to trying to take down an upper moon and the struggles that came with it, as well as the whole backstory related to Gyutaro and Daki, and how they basically, Gyutaro had it a lot harder than Daki, since the entertainment district values beauty. And yes, this clearly made Gyutaro a very spiteful, very hateful person, which did not help. And then when Daki did, or Ume did her thing, that kind of caused her to get burnt alive. Obviously, Gyutaro, it was more fated that Gyutaro would accept the deal with Doma, because clearly, I mean, there's no other thing other than wanting vengeance with the whole world. And now the interesting part comes down to Ume being able to kind of go to heaven, but it's because a lot of it came down to she didn't really had a choice in the matter. Like, she didn't kill someone, she just stabbed them. And she, from what we know, she wasn't as spiteful as Gyutaro. She definitely took a lot of his teachings, but one of the other things is she didn't actively choose to become a demon. The fact that she did without her, well, consent, basically shows that she was corrupted, not through her own free will. Now, Gyutaro going to hell is obvious. Like, he did a lot of shit and he doesn't even regret it. I doubt Ume does regret it, but the thing is more of she didn't have a choice in the matter, so she was given a chance at redemption, but she chose to stick with her brother. So, I mean, I guess happy ending-ish. Well, they're burning in hell, so, I mean, I can't really say happy ending, but more of just sticking together as a family, I guess. But, yeah, most of the story is kind of just simplified, but the simplicity is the beauty of it, because it gave us one hell of a fight. The anime really went above and beyond when it comes down to the fighting of, well, this season. The theme. Now, this is kind of hard because there are like multiple things going on. We have Tengen and like Survivor's Guilt that's definitely showing throughout his whole arc per se, because he definitely like has the whole family thing and still kind of not really caring for himself, constantly saying he's gonna go to hell, like kind of just putting himself in a position that he could die, and like putting himself as the final priority in a lot of things. And then there's like the Tanjiro versus Gyutaro aspect of how things could have been so different, that Tanjiro sees Gyutaro as a version of him. Had things gone so different with that massacre, and if he had been the one offered by a demon to save, well, to be with Nezuko and stuff, maybe he would have taken the deal and become a demon himself. And going with the whole thing that he hopes that if he ever does become a demon, someone will behead him, because he doesn't want that fate for himself. And clearly he's trying to prevent Nezuko into that fate by trying to cure her. But it is definitely a lot of moving parts for a theme. But I guess the theme is past and future, if I were to put anything. The past is related to Tengen's stuff and how he needs to grow out of it. Gyutaro and Daki are stuck in sort of the past. Gyutaro more, because he had more memories and resentment of the past, and Daki to an extent. And then Tanjiro having to pass the past being Rengoku's death, and how that's going to motivate him for the future to save Nezuko and genuinely stop Muzan Kibutsuji. Like, that is what I perceive as the theme of this. Like, past and present. In the past, obviously demons had always have had the hierarchy kind of thing of just constantly being such a problem that things don't ever seem to shift, with the present being that they defeated an upper moon, and that alone will start making such a change that will all reach Muzan and finally start making actual progress to stop the creator of demons. And with the finale of this whole, to wrap up the Entertainment District arc, it is a turning point. Like, it is an absolute turning point. Because if the Rengoku versus Akaza fight was a turning point in the sense of, this is the threat we're dealing with, Tanjiro, Nezuko, Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Tengen Uzui with his 3 wives surviving and defeating an Upper Moon alone should tell you that yes, we are gonna reach Upper Moon levels. That they'll eventually be able to contest against Muzan, because that is the ultimate goal, to reach Muzan. And defeating the lowest of the Upper Moon show that it's a build-up. It's gonna take defeating not just, obviously they defeated Upper 6, it's going to take defeating Upper 5, Upper 4, eventually a confrontation with Upper 3, Upper 2, and Upper 1, and then reach Muzan Kibutsuji. So, if anything, this arc basically set up what is, well, the turning point for the Demon Slayers, because for so long, the Demon Slayers were constantly in the back foot, and now they have the front foot. Essentially, they have the advantage, they're going to take it, because defeating an Upper Moon is such a big damn deal. But anyway, this is Green Warrington, and 1 signing out. I hope you liked this review. I will talk to you all next time. Peace!